Beyond its framework as a murder mystery, HBO's Big Little Lies is a defining character study for today's post-truth culture. It blends dark comedy with spine-tingling melodrama and exudes style with dreamy insert edits, an immersive score, and an A-list cast. Among its greatest narrative triumphs is a disturbing portrait of domestic abuse, enacted by Nicole Kidman and Alexander Skarsgård as Celeste and Perry Wright. His mounting violence against her and her liberation from it are a driving force of the first season, and culminate in the biggest lie of all, the cover-up of his murder. A New York Post review called the show a terrible whodunit, in a somewhat tone-deaf analysis that supposes revealing the identities of the culprit and victim is the foremost purpose of the plot, rather than a narrative gateway. It's weird then that the ending actually does act like a whodunit, introducing 3 bits of information that serve a twist rather than the characters. They are: Perry raped Jane, which means Perry cheated on Celeste, then Bonnie kills Perry. These revelations are all sudden, and so uninformed by the deep dive we've seen for 7 episodes. They make it seem like we don't or couldn't really know the characters at all. The Monterey Five then lie to Detective Quinlan about what happened that night, even though, as she wonders, why would they? Their self-defense is true. I got really hung up on this, so I thought of an alternate ending to the show that could have been more effective. It's probably more predictable, but I think it's a better cap to a story not driven by twists, but by the depths of people's actions and their inevitable, unavoidable ripples. Jane kills Perry, but he's not her rapist. Bonnie's endgame role is ripped right from the pages of Leon Moriarty's original novel, but the book provides more insight into her character that supports that action. The show didn't do that. It does spend a full season with Jane, grappling with the trauma of her sexual assault. She has fantasies of shooting the man who violated her, even pursues the false lead given to her by Maddie. Jane's arc is about accepting the violence in her own past and becoming empowered by survival. So when she sees a despondent Celeste fleeing from Perry at trivia night, it should remind her of all those emotions that she's been fighting to overcome. It's irrelevant in that moment if Perry is her literal rapist or a cheater. The writing has already told us that he's a sexually violent abuser without any last-minute reveals. In my reimagining, Celeste finally confides in the women about Perry's abuse and they believe her. Jane has seen this before. As Perry drops his charming facade and moves to hit Celeste, Jane intervenes and pushes him to his death. She can't reverse the trauma she sustained, but she can stop somebody else from facing a similar situation, like she did with Max and Amabella. By standing up to a brand new abuser, Jane also evokes a theme of the show stated by Ed McKenzie to Nathan in the first episode. Ed was bullied and always dreamed that he'd be given the opportunity to redeem himself by fighting someone else, but he is, and he doesn't. Jane does. With this reimagined ending, the Monterey Five now have at least 3 great reasons to lie about the murder. Jane's action wasn't self-defense. She murdered Perry, and even though we can support that as a moral decision, it won't hold up in court, so they lie to protect Jane. It required them to believe Celeste with no previous knowledge of her abuse, which harkens back to therapist Amanda Reisman's concerns about taking Perry to court without a confidant, as well as represents the believe all women mantra. So they lie to protect Celeste. And if Detective Quinlan discovers the truth and digs into Jane's past, she might bring to light the truth of Ziggy's conception, another secret that Jane has been protecting. So they lie to protect Ziggy. I don't think that my ending is the right ending or a better ending for the season, but it does paint more reason into the characters' decisions, pays off their arcs, casts more doubt into their beliefs, and implies more big consequences are to come if you unravel even their littlest lies.